Bob, let's, another touching part of the film I want to talk about, right? And I just want to just go back a little bit. What was your time at Wesleyan? And when I first met you, and you told me when you played that at Wesleyan, was definitely familiar with it, even back then. But it just seems those times at Wesleyan kind of built a certain fabric in you and a stronger love for the ball. Again, when most guys would have quit, when most guys would have gave up on the game and themselves, I think it made you stronger. What was it about those experiences that kept you digging and wanting to be a better player?
I didn't get recruited by any colleges except for FIT. And there was a coach named, what was it, Bear? Coach Bear, I think his name was. He didn't look like a coach, you know what I'm saying? He used to come to the GOAT, and he used to see us play, pick up and stuff. Because, I mean, the GOAT was a happening court, I told you, in the 80s, right? So he invited me and Alex Ashiel, who played at LaSalle, down to FIT. And that's the only school that was, like, remotely interested in me in playing college ball. And I remember, he was the assistant coach. The head coach was like, yo, like, there's 75% women here. You know what I'm saying? Like, you have a fantastic time. I was like, I didn't really want to go to 2-year school. I didn't want to get, study fashion. I wound up being heavily involved in apparel and footwear, but, and I want to be a guest speaker at FIT, more recently based on my sneaker book. Anyway, so I passed on FIT and I decided to go to Wesleyan. Wasn't offered a, scholarship there. They didn't have scholarships. It was Division III. I tried out for the squad my freshman year, got cut. Tried out for the squad my sophomore year, got cut, played JV. Tried out for the squad my junior year, got cut. Now, meanwhile, in between every single, year, I'm coming back to New York and I'm playing in High Bridge 3-on-3 against John Morton, and I'm playing at the GOAT against, Mo, what was Mo's last name? Mo Blind. And I mean, I'm playing against such incredible players on a regular basis. Doogie, you know what I'm saying? Like, Doogie's one of the best players I ever played with or against. They used to have an open run at Central Baptist in the basement. And Dooge would be in there. His real name was Joe Thomas. He had a tryout with the Knicks. The Knicks invited him to free agent camp when he was like 27, just based off his playground dominance. You know what I'm saying? Like, a lot of people don't know that. Like, Dooge was,
wow.
I mean, Dooge is, I mean, Dancing Dooge, they called him Dancing Dooge because he would dance, you know what I'm saying? Like, he'd be, So I would, be playing against these dudes, and I would come back up to this D3 school and get cut. And I'm like, yo, like, Dancing Doogie picks me up on his squad and passes me the ball. Like, I know I could play D3, in this school. So, but I never let a coach, Glenn, and I'll say this to any young people or anybody at any age, I've never let a coach determine my love for the game. I never let a coach gauge my love for the game. Right. So every year I got cut at Wesleyan, I was just like, yo, that's all good. I'm gonna keep on playing. I played intramurals my junior year. I averaged like 25 points, led my squad to the final. And then spring break, I come home and I'm playing pickup at the GOAT. Ray Diaz, who I mentioned earlier, had played at Cheney State under John Cheney. He wound up playing pro ball in Puerto Rico for Quebra Diaz. And Quebra Diaz was a perennial champion in Puerto Rico. Ray sees me at the GOAT in 1987 during spring break. And he's like, yo, Bobby, you're ready. I'm like, what do you mean? I talk about this in my film Rock Over 45s. I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, yo, like, I just got asked to play for Arecibo. I can't go. I got kids. I just took an accounting job. I can't continue to play, take 2 months off my life to go play pro ball. But I think I'm gonna send you in my place. So he called up the owner. The owner said, that's great. We're gonna fly you in. Now, I hadn't even played college ball. Understand, I hadn't played varsity on Division III. I hadn't played college ball. And I'm talking to a pro league. Now, mind you, in 1987, Puerto Rico was one of the top 5 pro leagues and top 5 national teams in the world. In the world. Now, you may remember 2004 when Puerto Rico beat the Team USA by 19 points. And that's the biggest, smack that Team USA has ever taken before or since in any international competition. But Puerto Rico beat the US in 90 in the Pan Am Games, in 91 in the University Games. I mean, in 1976, we lost to Puerto Rico. I mean, we lost to the US by 1 point. We had Butch Lee, who won in 1977, wound up being the MVP of the NCAA final for Marquette. And Butch Lee was the MVP at Clinton High School for the PSAL. And Butch Lee won a championship with the Lakers in 79-80. Butch Lee is Puerto Rican. Butch Lee is the first Latino to ever win a chip in the NBA. So Puerto Rico had a long history of being a top league. So for me to get invited to play out there was like, yo, and plus I told you in the beginning of the interview, my father had been invited to play pro ball for Rio Pedras and had to dip out to come to New York to take care of his siblings because his parents split up. So like all these things are like, you know, like sort of meeting, and they're like, yo, we're going to fly you out. I bet. They send me the ticket. I get it in the mail. Yo, the day before I'm supposed to fly, Glenn, I twist my ankle in the small gym playing pickup. And I'm like, yo, I can't believe I just blew my chance, yo. Oh my God, B. Like my whole life working towards like playing pro ball, and I twist my ankle, you know? So the owner, Dr. Hiram Ruiz, he's like, don't worry about it. Ray Diaz said you could play. This is the Ray Diaz who ran Nike Pro City for, you know, since 1995 until whenever. He's like, yo, we're going to sign you off of Ray Diaz's word. Yo, they sent me a contract. They hadn't even seen me play. When I finished my junior year, my finals, I fly out to Puerto Rico, and I play for a month and a half for the Adesio Capitanes. They giving me free sneakers. You know what I'm saying? They feeding me. I got the keys to the gym. I'm in heaven, bro. I'm in heaven, yo.
They didn't get the keys to an official basketball junkie.
Yo.
They don't know what they did.
I got so much better that summer, yo. I got so much better. And now my confidence that I didn't have before is like, okay, now I'm playing against Monchito, and I'm playing against James Hugh Carter, and I'm playing against I mean, you know, that league was like,
how much of a legend True was out there? Because you know, we heard it on this side, and
BJ,
I played with his brother BJ.
People see, the thing is, like, people got to understand, Puerto Rico's pro league was run in May and June, and then if you made the playoffs, you were playing until July and possibly until August, right? Which coincides right up against all the summer leagues. So a cat like James Hugh Carter, had he been coming back to New York for the summer, might very well have been a playground legend playing West Fourth and, you know, everything. But he was in Puerto Rico. They called him El Presidente out there. You know what I'm saying? James True Carter.
Yes.
You know, from was he from Baisley? He's from Jamaica, Queens, you know. And his brother BJ was nasty too. Yeah. So BJ won a chip in Puerto Rico. True, I don't know if his squad ever won a chip, but he was a perennial all-star, you know, finished, you know, all-time leaders in assists and all that stuff. You know, there's a lot of cats from New York. Georgie Torres, who played against Tiny Archibald in the 70s, played at Clinton, you know, then he wanted to become the all-time leader scorer in Puerto Rico history. There's a lot of cats that.
Hold on, say that because we got a top 5 coming up later that's involved some of that. I don't want you to start naming them now. All right, that's cool. Even though Shane wanted you to do the top 10 Puerto Rican players, but we only do 5 here. But definitely, you know, it's crazy, right? So, and knowing that you got a chance, even though you thought it was over for your pro career, you know. And I'm gonna say this, bro. Again, you know, guys, there's a lot of guys that played overseas, but it's a lot of guys that played basketball that never got a chance to play pro basketball anywhere. anywhere. I don't care
Glenn,
on what level.
it is. I've had a lot of incredible achievements. You know what I'm saying? I broke the barrier. I was the first Latino announcer for the New York Knicks in their 60-year franchise history. I was the halftime announcer. That's a big deal to me. You know what I'm saying? It was a big deal. I did the hot minute and a half on MSG Network. You know, I'm the first Puerto Rican in a Nike basketball commercial. Period. You know what I'm saying? I did voiceovers for them. I did 40 commercials for Nike. That's a big deal to me. You know what I'm saying? To rep for my island, for my people, for Latinos. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's a big deal to me. But playing pro in Puerto Rico after getting cut 3 years and not playing AAU and not getting cut from Riverside and not being like one of those blue chip dudes and nothing, you know what I'm saying? The only all-star I made in the 80s was at High Bridge 3-on-3. You know, that's the only all-star.
Yo, B, when I met you and I told you where I went to high school and then went to prep school and then went to college, you was like, yeah, you know, I played D3 at Wesleyan, but also played pro ball in Puerto Rico. I was like, shit, that explains it. You know what I mean? Like, and with pride, I love to hear that. I love to hear the accomplishment of others, especially those people who may have gotten overlooked. You know what I mean? And they don't understand how big of a deal those small games. Like, for a guy like you, what I know about you and how you are, your pickup game was just as serious as the games. Like, you didn't just take off because you was playing against some dude that you thought you were better than. No, you felt like, okay, you're on the court, I'm gonna eat you too. I'm trying to do my best to do. No, but that's a lot of people don't think like that. A lot of times ball players, they come to the park just to play. And it's like, yeah, I'm just gonna come and get wrecked, not knowing how serious you take the game.
Listen,
and
it's, you know, I'm gonna tell you something really funny, Glenn. So I moved to Harlem. I moved back uptown. I was living, you know, in the LES for like 13 years. You know, mostly when I was on the radio. But I moved back uptown in 2004.
Yeah.
And so I used to go to Foster. I used to go to Wagner. I used to go to St. Nick. I used to go to Skrilla Hill. I would go everywhere in Harlem, and I didn't care who was on the court, right? And, you know, a lot of young kids, 12 years old, 10 years old, 13 years old, they see me doing my drills, and they'd be like, yo, mister, you know, you want to play one-on-one? They wouldn't know who I am. Like, yeah, sure, let's play. And I would go again, I'd be like, yo, like, when I was young, the older cats in the park, that's how I got better. They would go at me. They'd go, like, they wouldn't take it easy on me. So I would, you know, go at these kids, jab step, you know. You know, but it's like, you know, because it's like I took every opportunity to play ball so preciously because I knew like how precious it was. You know, you never know when you're like injured. You never know when you're gonna call it your last day. You know, you don't know nothing. You know what I'm saying? So I've had so many instances where where I've been on trains and like a dude will be across the car, like staring me down, you know, and I'm like, all right, what's about to go down, you know, and then they'll smile, and they'll be like, yo, you Bobbito, right? And I'm like, yeah, and they'll be like, yo, you know what, man, yo, you played against me in the projects when I was wild young, and I didn't know who you were, but now I know who you are, and I want to thank you, yo. I can't tell you how many times it's happened to me. And they'd be like, yo, I want to thank you, B, for taking the time to play again. Like, it's like, and then I would have mad times when I was doing NBA Street Volume 2, and it was mad kids who were playing that video game, and they may not know what I look like, but they would know my voice. And once they hear me talking, they'd be like, yo, you do for NBA Streets? Like, yeah. Yo, what are you doing in a project? What are you doing in our court? And I'm like, what you doing here? I'm here to play. That's what I'm here to do too. You know what I'm saying? You know? So... Yo, so and right. I've just gotten so much love back from unsuspecting opponents. You know what I'm saying? And there's so many ways to give back to the community. You know, a lot of older players used to tell me like, yo, you know, the young kids, they just playing video games. They not in the park like we used to be. And I'm like, nah, you out of touch, B. You not in the park like you used to be. When I was young, there was Chico, who was 53 years old. He was in the Army Reserves. He was in great shape. You know, there was John, Big John. There was There was John Bagley, not the real John Bagley, but the, you know, there was Cheese, who was a mailman. There was all these old dudes who used to play in the park, not just on Sundays, throughout the week. You know what I'm saying? And I was like, yo, a lot of you are disconnected because you go by the park and you don't see nobody out there, and you just think like, oh, ain't nobody playing no more. Like, yo, you ain't out there at midnight. When I used to go to Foster, you know, the best run was at 12:30, 1 o'clock, because the lights would go on at the Black Gates, they called them, not in the circle where they had Kingdom. The best run was at midnight. In the back by the gates. That's when Skip, they used to call him crossing guard at Dykeman, but everybody in Harlem called him Skip, you know. But Skip would be out there and all his boys would be out there, and we'd be running like, you know, play 21 to like 3 o'clock in the morning. But, you know, the older dudes, they already asleep. They're not going to know that. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, when I did doing it in the park, I made a bold statement. I said, yo, you know what? In 2010, 2011, there's more people playing ball right now than in any period in the history of New York City. And old people be like, no, that's impossible. That's not true. And I'm like, yo, watch the film. We got footage. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, yo, don't refute that. I'm an evangelist. I'm an advocate for outdoor basketball. Now, the skill level is not what it was in the 70s and 80s. I'll say that, because all the elite players had the opportunity to start traveling. So now that, you know, in the 70s, whereas Jocko Jackson and Bruce King and all these dudes will be playing pickup, now they're not playing pickup, because you can play in 7 tournaments in the summertime. So
the BRC, they still playing 50 and over. I watched Seth Marshall and Half Man, Half Amazing play against Ephraim Whitehead and Norman Marbury in the championship. And this is so crazy. When Seth Marshall found out that Norman Marbury was playing, since he wasn't able to play against him when Norman Marbury was the thing, he told him, he's like, yo, I was so ready for you. And it showed. And now Norman just throws a regular 50 and over. Juju, like, next year I'm coming back, and I'm coming back with vengeance, because he just thought it was regular. And Steph was out there taking advantage of everybody, because he was like, yo, now I get to play against these guys who were doing these things at a younger time when I wasn't able to do it. And it's just so amazing to see.
Yeah.
Bob, question. Do you remember
I do. I mean, rest in peace. But I never, you know, there's a lot of players, Pookie Wilson from the 80s, Danny Torado. I may have played against them and not even known their name, you know what I'm saying? Or I may not have played them, but I never got to see them play. You know, Boo Harvey, I never got to see him play in high school. I got to see him play at St. John's. But when I played in the Almighty Force 40 and over, I finally got to play against Boo Harvey. And it was like, I got to finally play against Rod Strickland in the 40 and over in Harlem at the Pelham Fritz. And it was mind-blowing, like, how good, like, yo, people can talk all they want. There's a huge difference between Division III, Division II, Division I, Overseas Pro, and NBA. Now, that's not to say that a guy like Corey Homicide Williams couldn't have played in the NBA. I think he could have, you know. That's not to say that there's a lot of guys that could have played in the NBA that should have, but just not the right time. But there's a huge difference. And, you know, I've been fortunate to I played in Pro City, you know what I'm saying? I played in EBC, and there's a reason why I was a role player in those tournaments, because at 5'10" and 160 pounds, I can't guard nobody. I'm a target. And on a big court, on a 94x50 court, a dude like me is not going to excel in an environment like that. You know what I'm saying? Unless you make up for it on the offensive end. You know what I'm saying? Like Booger, you know, Booger was phenomenal to watch. I remember the first time
he was just.
I remember the first time I played against Booger. Yo. It was in Masrick Towers. Now I remember I told you I played in a lot of little community tournaments that not the Division I tournaments, if you will, but I was an all-star at Masrick. I love that tournament. The kids used to come. They used to be like, yo, you know, do another fancy move or whatever, you know. And then Booger came down, and I outscored Booger not because I was nicer than him, but because Booger blew past me every single time he wanted to. But he had a dude named Hammer on his squad. And Hammer was the one that got 50 on him, 50 on my squad. Hammer had 50, so Booger probably had like 20 assists. He had like 9, 10 points, you know what I'm saying? And I scored like 15, 20. So I was feeling good, like, yo, I'll score Booger. But then I thought about it, I was like, you know, don't ever say that to anybody because it don't mean because Booger could have had 50 on me if he wanted. You know what I'm saying?
But Booger wasn't a dude that's gonna get 50 and 60. He made other people look beautiful. And then how he got the ball to them was so amazing. It just made him better than everybody else who made that position.
I was in awe of Booger.
Right?
I have another fun
Especially
story
during his prime
that I love telling that I'll share with you. Ray for Austin. I remember my man Ted Nitro was telling me about a dude named Skip Tamalu at ABC on 55th. You know, this is in the 90s. He's like, yo, Bob, as a kid, everybody's talking about him. Talents at work, but I was always playing in tournaments, and I wasn't nice enough to play in ABC at that point. So if I had a choice of playing in a tournament or going to watch, I was going to play. You know what I'm saying? So, you know what I'm saying? So I didn't see a lot of cats. You know,
right?
And then I was playing at Brookville Park. That's what it was called, Brookville Park and Brookville Park.
Oh, Brookville, yes.
This is in like 92, 93, I think. And I had a game at East Orange Pro-Am against Brevin Knight. And so, you know, Brevin Knight, Stanford star, playing for the Cleveland Cavaliers. It was Brevin Knight and Mark Bryant, who played at Seton Hall and played for the Portland Trailblazers. So I came out of that game and I was exhausted because they stomped us. You know what I'm saying? Like they stomped us. I was playing for Coach Hollywood. You know what I'm saying? Like we only had 5 that game too. So Brevin and Mark, they stomped us. So I get to Brookville Park and my man Roger, who had played at Bard, it was his squad. He was like, yo, rest up. I was like, cool. I was tired. I was like, yo, I'm starving. I'm tired. You know how it is when you're playing in 5 tournaments in one day in the summer, like, and you're just dehydrated. We didn't know about hydrating and drinking water and all that stuff. So I'm eating a hot dog, and he's like, yo, Rayford, go in. So Rayford goes in. Now I didn't know him. I didn't know his name was Rayford. Like, I just knew Skip Tamalu. I didn't know who Skip Tamalu was.
Yes.
And so I see this skinny little 14, 15-year-old kid going into the game playing unlimited, and he's stinking it up. He's throwing the ball out of bounds. He's, you know, losing the ball. But like everybody's like around the court, like, you know, yo, Rayford, like, yo. And I'm like, yo, why is everybody like coming to the court to watch this kid? Like, I mean, I could tell he could play, but he just wasn't in his groove yet. Forget about it, Glenn. Halftime came along, something snapped. That man, I mean, that boy, that child came back out the second half. And I looked at Roger, I was like, yo, don't even put me in the game, B. I don't even need to play. This kid was, yo, right.
At 14?
92,
how old were you
at
like, this time?
I'm born in 66, so I'm like 26, 27, I guess. You know what I'm saying? And I was in awe. I was in awe. And then finally it was like somebody said, oh, Skip Tamalu. And I was like, oh, that's Skip? Word, yo, he's going to be nice. And just saw what he did, you know, on and on. And so it's beautiful, you know, like the beauty of what you're doing is that you're keeping folklore alive because, you know, there's a lot of undocumented moments in New York City playground basketball history. We didn't have iPhones back then. We didn't have cameras. We didn't have nothing, you know what I'm saying? So, you know, I remember Dorian Graham did a beautiful documentary called Asphalt Phenoms, where he documents the 80s and 90s, all the cats like pre-N1, pre-YouTube, that missed the boat. Cats like Master Rob, Lamont Thornton, you know, Mike Boogie, you know, dudes who were real entertainers, you know, Andre Blackett, you know, dudes who had nasty handles that never got really known outside of it. But then there's a whole era between Joe Hammond, Earl Manigault, Pee Wee Kirkland, Julius Erving, Charlie Scott, and the era of Dancing Doogie and Terminators. There's a whole era of the 70s. Arnold Duggar, You know, and people don't know about who Arnold Duggar was. People, there's so many amazing players in New York City's history that were dominant. You know what I'm saying? Like, and nasty with it.
Listen, go on the YouTube page. You can see the interview from Charlie Scott. He talks about a lot of those years, those Harlem times.
You interviewed Charlie Scott?
And again, enlighten me.
Wow,
yeah, I interviewed Charlie Scott. Yeah. Had Charlie Scott on here, had Dorian Graham as well. And what I'm trying to do, Bobbito, of course, I wanna have the name guys, but then I had a guy, Lamont Long, who got cut every year at Boys and Girls during the Pearl years. But we know him in the parks.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? Like, oh man, Mo Less, another Brooklyn legend. He said, Pooh, watching your shows over the years helped me get over the fact that I got cut every year of my high school career. So I made up for it in the park. So when guys would see me and I play against them, they go, why you playing?
Yeah.
And why you got this attitude? He said, I got cut for a year, but he said he would never tell anyone. He said watching the shows helped him get over demons he had inside for over 40 years. And he did me that, and I said, brother, you're going to come on and tell your story. You know, try to balance it up, because everybody got a story.
No doubt. Listen, that's why I was so amped up, to be honest, because you brought Kenny Hutchinson out of nowhere. Be like, I was like, yo, how does he even know who Kenny Hutchinson is? Like, yo, I was bugging. And then you had Sadat X, you know what I'm saying? I mean, you've had so many incredible guests.
Jerry Ice Reynolds for the Alexander Hamilton days.
You know, I used to read the New York Post, and they would have like the you know, the first team all city would be the Washington and Chris Mullin, and you know, back then, like, you weren't seeing these dudes, you were just reading about them or hearing about them, and you know, so to hear these stories, you know, for the very, like, you know, I never seen an interview with Jerry Ice Reynolds. You know, I mean, the dude played for Orlando Magic. You know, he played for LSU. Like, this dude's a legend. You know what I'm saying? Like, come on, man. Like,
listen, I used to, I never saw him play in high school. I used to hear his name so much. So by the time he got to LSU, I was like, whoa, I had to see these pictures. And if you see his high school pictures, he looked like the late 70s, early 80s high school superstar. Tall, lanky, athletic, and could do it all. And for those of you who never saw him play, you can go on YouTube and type in Alexander Hamilton versus Benjamin Franklin from Philadelphia. That was the first nationally televised game on CBS.
Wow. Okay.
And that's on YouTube, yes. And you'll see Andre Irvin, who was Gary Irvin, uncle.
Andre Scott Irvin? Is Gary Irvin's uncle? I never knew that.
Yes. And Mike Irvin as well, who will be on the show. They both will be on the show. And I interviewed Gary as well. Carrie Scurry was on that team. And Jerry Ice Reynolds, right? Now, let me go back even further. Ray Haskins coached that team for 8 years. He was 179 and 28. He had 22 guys on the team at one time. No, 24. 24. Because he counted Lloyd Daniels, who was the ball boy, who was supposed to go to Alexander Hamilton. Out of the 12 players, out of the 24 players, 12 of them went to play Division I.
That's crazy.
And this is one team, crazy. 24 players.
That's crazy. That's unheard of. Wow, that's unheard of. Yeah.
Right. So that was crazy. So I'm gonna ask you a few more questions, then we're gonna get to our top fives, right? Because I gotta bring you back on here, brother. You know, because there's a whole sneaker culture that we need to talk about. And I think if we start on here, we won't get the whole story. Honestly, because that slogan, one of those, my kids are still saying that to this day.
Yeah. Where'd you get those? Kids? Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the sneaker history is like, you know, I've beat that into the ground. So that's why I was so excited to talk to you about basketball, because I don't, you know, most times people interview me, it's about sneakers or about like hip hop.
I got
me being able to talk about
me
being able to talk about basketball for 2 hours is like, Yeah, I've been looking forward to. I've been waking up the last 2 days like, yo, I got to tell them about so and so, and I got to, you know.
My brother AB Money from Rapping is Fundamental. So that's my guy.
Rapping is fundamental.
Facts. That's how I met Kane, through AB Money, who went to high school with Kane. And one of Kane's closest friends. So that's another story. So let's talk about this, right? And also in the documentary Rock Rubber 45, I didn't know, brother, you was performing in all these big arenas for thousands of people, putting on tricks.
That's the poster right there.
I'm going, yo.
Yeah.
He was doing this too.
So, brief history. You know, just like any other kid, as a young one, you know, I looked up to the Harlem Globetrotters. You know what I'm saying? But this is before I was able to go into playgrounds and like realize how fantastically creative people were in the parks. You know. And then becoming part of that New York culture of like trying to be like different and pushing the envelope and everything. You know, my game was always like fundamental, but with a goal of doing something that I ain't never seen before, you know. And that's the mentality that a lot of my generation had. And that's the foundation for everything that happens with the explosion of trick basketball and show basketball, you know, afterwards. So I feel blessed to be part of the generation that I was, right? So, and starting in 93, 94, I started doing a lot of Nike commercials. You know, I was the voice. Me and Duke Tango were the voices of the 1-800 Nike number for the NYC Attack campaign. You know, as you know, I was casting a lot of Nike commercials. I was doing location scouting. I was consulting Wieden and Kennedy, the ad agency, like to, include Earl Manigault, you know, in the bus shelter campaign, and I was doing radio ads, and I was eventually doing TV ads, on camera TV ads. So move forward, come 2001, Nike does a Nike Freestyle commercial. Now, a lot of people don't notice, there was 2 commercials. There was one that they did in LA.
Yeah.
That had Speedy, Booger, I forget who else. They had a woman in it. And anyway, Jimmy Smith was at Wieden and Kennedy, and he hit me up. He was like, yo, we wanted you in that commercial. I couldn't get in contact with you, but we're going to shoot another commercial in New York, and we're going to expand it. We're going to get Jackie Jackson. We're going to get Baron Davis. We're going to get Lamar Odom. We're going to get Seth Marshall. You know, we're going to get A-Train, Arnold Bernard. We're going to get Crazy Legs, your boy. And I was like, word, cool. So he was like, I want you in it. I was like, bet. Like, went to the audition at Boys Harbor, right? And you know who's there? Which is crazy. Bone Collector.
Who that?
And
wow.
They didn't put Bone Collector in the commercial, which is crazy because Bone Collector, after that, wound up tearing up New York. Like, tearing up New York. He took over EBC. I remember me and Bone were on the same squad for Apache at Riverbank State Park. We had like a little like fundraiser game, whatever. And I mean, Bone was just like, oh my God, like, this is so disgusting. This game was so nice. But anyway, so you know, people got made the cut from the audition, and we shot it in a big TV studio in Queens. And then the Nike Freestyle commercial comes out, and you know, it takes over. You know what I'm saying? Like, everybody around the world is now doing tricks, not just like Harlem Globetrotter, but you know, they doing like, it's like more funky. It's got more flavor, not just spinning the finger, but like, you know, remember Louis Tricks the Silver, you know, for the freestyle commercial, he's doing like all these crazy dribbling tricks, and it's just going nutty. It's just going nutty. And it created a lot of opportunities. So, you know, for any of us who were in the commercial, we were getting booked now to do shows, you know, exhibitions. And initially it was the Nike Freestylers, and it was mostly like A-Train and C. Frank. But then it was me and Ramon Rodriguez and Louis Tricks da Silva. We went to Taiwan. We were doing shows out there in Taipei. You know, there were lines around the corner, Glenn. I mean, you know, the Nike freestyle commercial was just so OD. So after the Nike freestyle thing kind of like ran its course, then me, Jack Ryan, Ramon Rodriguez, and Kenny Rodriguez, who years later became a Harlem Globetrotter, we formed a group called Project Playground. And we had a booking agent, and she got us doing halftime for the Knicks, Charlotte Hornets. We did University of Tennessee when they were national champions. We did University of Florida when they were national champions. We did UConn, men's and women's, when they were national champions. We did Dallas Maverick. Yo, B, now I'm doing shows at halftime in front of like 20, 25,000 people. Now, you want to talk about a chip on my shoulder like your man Mo Les was talking about? Now I'm like, oh, word, yeah, you cut me back in the day. Not that just because you could do tricks doesn't mean that you could play. But push comes to shove. The current coach at Wesleyan University, O'Reilly, I love him. He's mad cool. He got like a little section in his office. Any prospective student athlete, he goes like, yo, Bobbito García. And the kid would be like, oh, I know who he. Yeah, he went here. He went to Wesleyan. He don't say that like, you know, he got cut 3 times and he ain't get no burn the senior year and nothing like that. But he be like, yo, he played at Wesleyan. It's like a selling point for the basketball program there.
Is it the most beautiful big, like that is, you know, listen, brother, again, and it's because of your spirit. It's because of your spirit who you are, brother. That goes to show, man.
Yes, yeah, so,
like,
you know,
go ahead.
I've been blessed.
That's
because,
crazy.
You know, I remember when I went to New Zealand, you know, and they booked me to announce a 3-on-3 tournament out there. You know, so of course, anywhere I go, I'm always like, cool. If I get booked to DJ, I'm like, yo, where's the run? Like after the event is over, like I want to play. You know what I'm saying? So I remember playing in New Zealand, and you know, that's the farthest I ever been. And I'll get to Auckland, and like people know who I am, and people are asking me to take photos with me, and people are asking me to sign their sneakers. Yo, you know how trippy that is, B? You know how trippy it is to, I mean, these are people who didn't know me from hip hop. You know what I'm saying? They don't know me from the radio show. They were too young for that. They know me from sneakers and from basketball.
Yeah.
And so when you say my life is blessed, like, Glenn, that's like an understatement. That's why I get so impassioned, you know, talking to you about my life. And that's why I made my film Rock Rubber 45. You see the poster back there. That's why I made my film Doing in the Park Pick Up Basketball, because, yo, I wanna inspire other people. I wanna share my story so that other people can be like, yo, I didn't make the team either. Yo, I wasn't the nicest kid growing up. But if you stick with it, you might have some opportunities, you might not, you know what I'm saying? But at least you could try, you know, and I've been able to make a lot of money with a ball in my hand, B, you know what I'm saying? So coming from a small D3 school and doing everything that I've done is kind of uncanny, you know? First of all, I'm the second pro ball player in my college's history, right, ever. And I'm the most known ball player in my school's history. That don't make me a legend, but internationally, people know who I am, you know, and that makes me feel good. It makes me feel good.
And Eric Jones, the Harlem Wizards star, said you are king.
He's a beautiful dude, man. I remember when I was with the Harlem Magic Masters for a short stint. You know, I used to do games, and it'd be me, Eric, and Speedy, and Junie, and we had a dude named Tiny. And, you know, again, like I hold those experiences dear. You know, like I couldn't. You know, Rudy Johnson was doing the bookings, and Rudy knew Albert King, and he knew Bernard King, and, you know, Brooklyn Cat, like Sam Worthing was his man, and, you know, and I would just listen to their stories. You know, I just loved like him being in a van, going to games and stuff, you know. But, yo, like I hold those experiences so dear, you know what I'm saying? Like doing PTA games in Connecticut, you know, doing the halftime, Rudy being like, yo, go out there and do the halftime show by yourself. All right, cool work. And I'm doing my spins and I'm doing my tricks, and the crowd is like, yay, you know, like, and then getting paid at the end of it. Like, yo, you serious? You just paid me to do that? Like, remember what I told you? I used to be in Harlem at 1 a.m. in my 40s playing ball against teenagers. I'm gonna do this whether I'm getting paid or not. You know what I'm saying? Like, the only thing that's holding me back from doing it right now is the pandemic. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I got an injured shoulder. I'm not making excuses, but I can't play against people right now. I can't.
Listen, guys at your status, and
Okay.
I'm speaking. This is not you saying. All right, guys at your status, and you know where you are in your life. Don't do half of the things that you do for free, right? They turn their nose down on that, or they feel like they're too big for that, right? Or it's gonna hurt their brand. And you out there 1 o'clock in the morning playing pick up with kids trying to destroy them, right? Like, it's so those are the things that's gonna keep your name alive and keep people talking about you, because they know when they meet you, it's exactly who they think they're meeting. Because a lot of people, when you meet them, it's a disappointment. Again, I'm gonna go back to what my guy Pat Mahomes said before he left. He said, "Yo, Glenn, is Bobbito the way I think he is? Like, when you meet him as a friend, you know this guy?" I said, "Yo, he is everything like that." Right? The guy still, I'm speaking to him for 20 years, 25 years later, and he's still like, "Yo, what's up, B?" Like, come all right, man. Listen, I want to get to our top five. Okay, Bob. This may be a little bit rough for you, man, but I know you can handle it, man, because you're a lover of ball, man. So
wait,
I got a few top fives.
I missed what you were saying. Say it again. I missed. I had a call that.
Okay, we're gonna get to our top five.
Top five what?
Top five. Our top five. Yes. So we're gonna do this. We're gonna start off. Top 5 sneakers of all time.
Yeah.
I told you. I told you it's not gonna be easy, fam. It's not gonna be easy. And a guy who has so many pairs of sneakers named after him.
Oh man, that's tough. Well, I'll say the top 5 most. I'll just make it personal. You know, I was blessed to do a collab with Nike Air Force One for the 25th anniversary in 2007. So I'm gonna put that in my top 5.
Yeah.
I was blessed to do the 30th anniversary of the Pro Kev Royal Flash in 2009. I'll put that in my top 5. I was blessed to design in collaboration with Adidas the Superstar for the 35th anniversary in 2005. I'll put that in my top 5. I did the Puma Clyde collab in 2016. I'll put that in my top 5. And then for the top other one, the top 5, I gotta put a pair of Converses in there. I just let go of all my sneakers, Glenn. I only kept 5 sneakers. 4 to 5 up. You see up there. A Converse. I love Converse. So I'm gonna put the Converse Pro BB that came out in 2019. Great performance shoe. Now, you know, a lot of people don't know Converse is owned by Nike. So the Converse Pro BB, when they re-entered the performance category, they had all the Nike technology in the midsole and the outsole. So, and they also sponsored my tournament in 2019, Converse. So I'm very grateful for them. So yeah, I'll go with those 5 for the top 5 sneakers. But that's a very personal thing. That's not the best 5 that ever been out there. That's my personal top 5.
That's what it's about. What's your top 5? I always tell people that it's yours, nobody else's. I want to give a big shout out to my guy, Cook Snow, the producer, another brother's nephew. He's on here. So my big brother Bob. This young guy, he's a Harlem historian. He knows who dropped what in Rucker, EBC. If you did work in Rucker, he was there documenting it. And man, salute to you, young king. All right. Top 5 players you played against.
Wow. That's tough.
Yeah, I know. I know this is tough. I know it's the hardest part of the show.
I'm gonna say Ty Boogie.
He will be on the show soon.
Ty Davis, yeah.
Ty Davis, the Boogie Monster.
Ty
yes.
or Ty? Was it Ty or Ty?
Tyrone,
Ty Davis
yeah.
was disgustingly nice, bro. Like, why he didn't play D1, I have no idea. But he played at Cal State Bakersfield, and I believe they took the national championship.
They won the national championship.
When he went to
His brother Trevor was nice, but all the things that Trevor didn't get to do and the accolades, Ty made up for it.
Yeah, so Ty Davis, in 1999, I had a squad at the GOAT. This is after Earl passed, and his son Darren McCalla was Darren. I forget his last name. Anyway, his son Darren was keeping the GOAT alive and unlimited. So I put a squad in, and I made the All-Star team. I was very, very happy about that because, like I told you, I ain't make a lot of All-Star teams over the years, but I made the All-Star team in my home court, the GOAT. And I had a squad that year that was nice. We went to the chip, and Ty Davis came down. He was playing for DJ. You remember DJ from Kingston? He had the Kingston tournament at St. Andrews Park. He had that squad. And Ty, like, yo, I threw 4 different defenders at Ty throughout the game. No, like, everybody I threw at him, like, it didn't matter. It didn't, like, he literally, I think he had like 40 in the chip, and he robbed me of the chip because I wanted that chip, you know what I'm saying? But I also know that in the EBC rugby park, Ty Boogie was called Ty. I think they called him Ty Dangerous or Ty. So they had another nickname for him at EBC. But he's one of the toughest dudes I ever seen play. Oh my God. Him, Speedy Williams. I hated Speedy Williams, yo, with a passion until we got cool. You know what I'm saying? And then I was like, yo,
right. Yeah.
But prior to that, like, and this is what I said early in the show, Speedy wasn't just a dude who rested on his laurels at EBC Rucker Park. Speedy played in Springfield, Queens. Speedy played in you know, the little 3-on-3 tournament, you know, in a cut, you know what I'm saying? Like, Speedy was so I would go, Speedy played in Asphalt Green, you know what I'm saying? Like, again, a little community tournament. So he played with a squad called Red Star, which was really prime time, James Ryan's squad. But and they had a sponsor called Red Star. I think it was a restaurant. So and Handfish, you know, had to play Speedy. Like, every time we get to the playoffs, it was like always Speedy, you know, stopping us from moving forward. Like, okay, another tournament I lost to Speedy. Another tournament I lost to Speedy. And Speedy wasn't a dude who was just going to like score 20 and get like 15 assists. He was also going to butcher you and hack you and talk smack to you. So losing to him wasn't just like, oh, he crossed you up. It was like he really beat you mentally and physically. You know what I'm saying? Like,
he was a winner. He's one of those guys you say, he's a winner. Like, you know, some of them guys can will themselves in their team.
And that's why
he had that
2007, Speedy won the Knicks did the one-on-one tournament, last man standing, which Corey Homicide Williams won in 2005, but Speedy took it in 2007. And mind you, he was like 41, 42 at the time, you know, and he was the best one-on-one player in the city. So yeah, Speedy definitely tough. And I hold this dear. The 14th Street Wild, I don't know if you're old enough to remember, they used to have a dope pro-am. And that's the only time I ever beat Speedy in my life, including 40 and over. And it was in a chip. It was me, Jack Ryan, a dude named Keith Tisdale, who had played at Colorado State. We had Mark Scotto, Mike Wing. We had like a bunch of like nobodies, basically. I mean, Jack was known. Jack. I'm about to get to Jack in a second. But
well, was that sponsored by Game
Over?
Nah.
I don't even think Game Over existed yet. But yeah, I mean,
they still gotta say it was sponsored by Game Over. I don't know what he was referring to, but salute to my guys if they still got it. That's probably Dorian.
Shout out to
Ryan.
Dorian.
What up, Dorian?
Anyway, so in the 14th Street Y Pro-Am, that's the only time I beat Speedy in my life. And it was in a chip. And it was me and Jack in the backcourt. We had like a small backcourt. It was me, Jack, and Keith Tisdale. And that's a crazy memory for me because I have not won a lot of chips in my life, as I told you. You know what I'm saying? Like, so like that was big for me beating Speedy. So I said Ty Davis, Speedy Williams. You said toughest I played against. I got to see Jack Ryan. I mean, Jack. Every legend, everything that people have said about him is not like folklore. Is true. Like I heard about Jack for like basically like 10, 12 years before I actually met him. And then I was playing at Starrett City. Again, that's another chip that I won. Starrett City had a pro-am. I don't know if you remember that. Starrett City all the way in deep Brooklyn.
No. I know what Starrett City is, but never played over there.
In that tournament. And it was me, Tone Greer, Kirk Rodriguez, Turk, who's a graffiti legend, Trike One. He's somebody you should get on your show at some point, actually. Anyway, so towards the end of the season, Turk is like, "Yo, Bob, we're gonna bring down Jack tonight." I'm like, "Word, cool. Like, I'd love to play with him, Yo, Jack, and I'm playing point. Yo, Jack comes on the court. Glenn, I can't make this up, B. He doesn't miss a shot in the first half. He shoots 100% from the field, right? So I'm like, all right, cool. Like, we good. Like, I'm just going to keep on feeding you, B. Second half, keeps on hitting. Yo, he has not missed a shot the whole game. He finishes the game 17 for 17. The score is tied with 3 seconds left. He's in the corner. I penetrate, kick to Jack. For some reason, I don't know why. And mind you, he was 17 for 17, all from 15 to 17 feet. He shot complete mid-range the entire game. Kick it to him in the corner. He pump fakes because the dude ran out on him. And he goes to the hole, takes a layup, and misses the layup. He finishes the game 17 for 18 and missed the layup. We lost.
Yeah. Go figure.
But playing against Jack is a headache, yo.
That's crazy.
Jack is a dude that he shoots 80% when he's off. And that's not even hyperbole.
Yes.
Anybody that played against him, they'll tell you the same thing. Jack is crazy. So, yeah, Jack Ryan, Speedy. I'd have to say Howie Hudson. I don't know. Do you remember Howie Hudson?
Damn, all these guys you name.
Yeah, so I used to play on Nickelodeon.
Trust me, yeah.
On 21st
and Howie will be on the show soon as well. And I had Jack Ryan already. I played with Jack.
So Howie Hudson was like the leading scorer in West Fourth, and then he would come to Nickelodeon and just be like, I mean, it just wasn't fair. Be like the dude had so much ways to score, just take over a game. He was Gene Smith. I gotta say, like, I remember the first time I scored against Gene Smith. Like, I could have cried, yo. Like, I was like, oh my God, I just scored. And it's not like I put buckets on him. I just simply scored. So I was like, oh my God, Gene Smith was like, I was shook.
One of the greatest defensive players ever. If you got a chance to do that, then
he might be the greatest defensive player ever. I mean, understand, when Georgetown was rated the #1 defensive team in the NCAA, when Pat Ewing was the center, and they took the chip, Gene Smith was like the point guard. He was the leader of he got drafted by the Oakland Raiders in the NFL. He didn't even play football. Did you know that?
No.
He got drafted.
He didn't mention that on the show. I had him on here.
Because they recognized his defensive skills and his athleticism. Imagine that, B. That's unheard of, bro.
Now I gotta go back and watch the show and see if he mentioned
anyway,
that.
So
I'm not sure if he
Gene was
that.
tough. I don't know, B. One more.
And then you got one more. You got one more.
Toughest. I don't know. I might have. I don't know. I don't know.
You said Ty Davis, Speedy, Harvey Hudson, Gene
I
Smith,
said Jack Ryan too, right? Yeah. I'll leave
and
it
Jack
there.
Ryan. That's
I'll leave it
five.
there.
That's five. You got it. You got it. You got it.
I mean, because
Right, right, right.
there's so many other players I could
Blackjack.
mention,
Cool.
but they weren't lockdown defenders. You know what I'm saying? Like Speedy
Gotcha.
will lock you up. You know what I'm saying? Like there's a lot of dudes that I didn't feel like if I was playing against, like they were gonna give me 30, but I felt like, oh, I could score on you too. But Speedy was like a cat, like I'm not gonna score on him, and he's gonna score on me. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Right, right. All right. I want to ask this top five because I think we need to share more light on this, and I invite anybody who want to come on the show and tell a story as long as you're credible enough. You know what I mean? That's just what it is. Top five Puerto Rican players all time.
That's tough, B. I mean,
I know, but I think a lot of people need to, you know, that need to be a light need to be shed on that, because again, you know, sometimes you can just see through one lens, and I think people need to see
no doubt,
the other side of it. You know,
that's a tough one because
yes.
Carmelo Anthony is Puerto Rican, right? And a lot of people don't know that, but I mean, he's one of the greatest players in the last 20 years to play on a pro level, and he's an NCAA champion. You know, then you go JJ Barea, who's a NBA champion with the Mavericks, and you know, killed at Boston University, and has killed in the Puerto Rican Pro League too. Then,
all right, let's keep it simple. Let's keep it simple.
Yeah, so if you're gonna go with New Yorkers, I mean, Butch Lee, you got to say first and foremost, because like I said, he might be the only cat. I don't know. He got a PSAL chip, an NCAA chip, and an NBA chip.
That's like Kareem with the, you know, Catholic school.
College, how many people?
NBA,
how many people could say that?
You know what
right?
I mean? Not too many people can say that.
And the PSAL and NCAA, he was an MVP. You know, so but Butch, so Butch, definitely in that mix. West Korea, who a lot of people don't know because again, like, you know, well, West wasn't from New York City; he was from Long Island, but he played for the national team of Puerto Rico, and I think it was in '83 or '84. He played against a squad that had Charles Barkley, Michael Jordan, Chris Mullin, Ewing. Had 40, my dude.
Woo.
In international competition. You hear who I just mentioned. Probably Leon Wood was on that squad.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, we're talking about like one of the greatest college teams, pre-Dream Team ever assembled. And he had 40 on them. He put 40 on them. So Wes is definitely up there. Georgie Torres, you got to include, who wound up becoming the all-time leading scorer in Puerto Rico's history in the pro league out there. But, you know, was from the Bronx, was from Patterson Projects, I believe, you know, which was where Tiny Archibald was from, I believe, if I'm correctly. And then you got Munch, Raymond Cruz, who was also on the national team of Puerto Rico, legendary player in the pro league there, legendary pickup player. I think Munch played at Clinton. I don't remember. But yeah, Munch was a monster.
People saying Eddie Rivera, Felipe Lopez, but this is only your five, Bob. I'm not
Felipe's
to your
Dominican.
five.
You asked for Puerto Rican. Yeah.
No, you're right. And what about
Eddie Rivera?
Played for Utah.
I don't remember him.
He's a little. He's a
I'm
little younger. He's definitely a little younger. No, but the five that you mentioned.
Oh, and James Drew Carter. James Drew Carter. How could I forget James? Like,
that's right. That's right. He's Puerto Rican because I know about that through BJ, and their cousin is the secretary of my school. So definitely that for sure. Yeah. Man, I had to reschedule. He's supposed to have been on Monday. Greg Pedro from Staten Island. He played for St. Peter's. That's the only team for Staten Island to ever win a city championship. And they beat Kenny Smith and Mallory in 1983. Okay. And he's now a dentist. So we're rescheduling. We're going to do the show probably in a few weeks. Yeah. Just want to definitely bring up Greg Pedro because that was a remarkable win because everybody thought Kenny Smith was going to win that. And still to this day, Staten Island has yet to win another city championship. So hopefully they get one day. Even though they JV won a city championship. So that counts for something this year. Yes. And it's crazy because I don't want to say it's ethnicity, but it was a Hispanic kid. What's my young guy? Devin Luizano, who hit the last second shot with 6 seconds to go to win the city championship this year. One of the best. Yes, that game and the B City Championship game was the best city championships out of all the divisions.
All right.
Yes. Okay. Top 5 players you saw, but you wasn't in the game. Like you went to watch.
Woof. Wow. Walter Berry. Yeah, no diss to Paul Pierce and anybody who's young who only knows Paul Pierce, but like Walter Berry was the truth. Let me tell you a crazy story. 1983, I was at the Burma Manhattan Community College. Me and Ahmad Hooper, who was my classmate at Lower Merion, and we was the only 2 people in the crowd. And we was there for they had the Pro-Am, it was the second game. They had the college division first, right? And the dude who ran the tournament, he's like, yo, my scorekeeper and my announcer haven't shown up. We was the only two people in the crowd. We was there dumb early. So he was like, yo, will you do the table for me? And Glenn, that's the beginning of my announcing career. I went out to do Elite 24, high school All-American game, you know. In 1983, that was the first game I ever called. I did Elite 24 at Rucker Park from 2006 to 2009. Then it was broadcast on ESPN. You know, I gave out nicknames, you know, all that stuff. But my first game ever was in 1983, the college division. And guess who shows up at halftime? Walter Berry, B. And he had 40 in the second half. I'll never forget that, yo. I'll never forget that, yo. And then, I saw Walter Berry play in Nelson Park in the Bronx, too, in the hybrid section. And, Walt, I don't know if it was Cornbread or Troy Truesdale. Somebody had stolen the ball at half court and was going for it. And Nelson Park was a short court. Walter, took off from half. Caught homeboy on the board. And that was the first time I ever saw the spill out. You know, the spill out was when the crowd was running.
When everybody,
they stopped the game for 5 minutes. Walter Berry. I was like, yo, Walter Berry, Pearl Washington, you know, who I mentioned earlier about the wheelchair classic. I say Corey Homicide Williams would be in that conversation too. In terms of all-time best that I watched, you know, I wasn't on the court. I was just watching.
Yes.
Who else? I don't know, man. So many dudes. Mario Ellie, you know, Somebody should do a documentary on him. He was a rookie in the NBA at age 27. He had stormed the CBA. Yes. He was an MVP at an All-Star game. The CBA had done a one-on-one tournament. He took that. And then, he was close with Chris Mullin because they both played at Power Memorial. And so Chris was the one who told the coach at the Warriors, Don Nelson, I think. He was like, yo, give Mario a shot. And they brought him up halfway through the season. And that's how he was a rookie at age 27 with the Warriors. Yeah, they were teammates at Power. Who else? I want to say, I don't know. I'm blanking. Now I'm like starting to, like, we've been talking for 2.5 hours, and now my brain is like,
I'm gonna give you one more last one, then I'm gonna get you out of here. But I just gotta give you the first spill out that I've seen or was a witness of when Sam Worthing was playing at City College and playing against Kevin Williams, and he started dribbling 94 feet between his legs, and Kevin Williams was waiting for him at half court because nobody's gonna press Sam. And the announcer, for every juke time he went to his legs, the announcer would go, Sam, Sam, Sam. And then the crowd start going, Sam, Sam. He got to half court. He shakes Kevin Williams. Kevin falls. Kevin had a pair of low-cut Clydes. One came off, was spinning at half court. This is true fact. I tell it the same way every time. Sam Worthing then, after he shakes him, throws it, steps over him, goes to the foul line, jumps, spin the ball on his finger, roll it down his arm, and passes it to Ken Bannister. Ken Bannister catches it and dunk it, and it took 15 minutes for them to clear the floor.
Wow.
City College.
That's crazy.
All right, Bob, and we're going to get you on here because my battery getting low as well. Top 5 players in New York City, and it's a wrap.
Yeah, man.
We talking about pros and everybody. We're not just talking about street ball.
I mean, Chris Mullin. It's hard to say, B. It's hard to say because like it's like every decade has, like for me, like it's special. Like Chris Mullin, Walter Berry, Pearl Washington, Rod Strickland, they all special to me because that's when I was in high school, and those are the dudes I was looking up to.
Yeah, those are your 5. I don't care about nobody else. Those are your 5.
Yeah, I had to go Walter Berry, Pearl, Rod Strick, Chris Mullin, and maybe Lance Stevenson. Yeah. I love.
See. Now people was bugging. I News 12 did a special on the show, and Pat O'Keefe asked me what was my top 5. I said Pearl, Lloyd Daniels. I said Pearl, Lloyd Daniels, Nate Tiny Archibald, Bernard King, and Rolando Blackman. Everybody thought I was bugging when I said Rolando Blackman. But here's the dude who was second team All-City, went to Kansas State, become Defensive Player of the Year and Player of the Year, and then become a Olympic champion and 4-time All-Star. And he was second team All-City. Yeah. That's unheard of.
Yeah, I love stories like that, man. Yeah, we could talk for hours, B.
Now, bro, I'm about to get you out here because my battery about to die, and I need to do my wrap-up. But I'm going to talk to you, call. You get to nominate some people to be on the show, cool. I'll be hitting you up soon. And listen, last thing. You have a drawing that's coming to you. Because, my artist, he's just very busy with school now. Finishing up.
Oh, dope.
So we have an artist on the show.
Okay, cool.
That draws everyone.
All right.
You know what I'm saying? All right. So I'll holler at you, brother.
Love you too, guys.
Again, I love you. Thank you, brother. And I'll speak to you soon. We almost broke the record of 3 hours. That's 2 hours and 40 minutes. It's crazy. Well, listen, like I always say, the love and your passion for the game still burns inside those who really earned their way. See, a lot of people, they get it early, and they get the hype, and they get the fanfare, and they get the nicknames, and then they burn out early. But it's those chosen few who really have a love and passion for the game that keeps them going. And no matter where the competition is, they're always there showing up, ready to play. And if you're as fortunate as my guy Bobbito to put yourself in a position to have success in basketball, when people probably overlooked you, but your passion for the game pushed you to levels of fame and stardom. Remember, basketball got him in the doors of hip-hop. He became a legend. Basketball got him in the doors of the sneaker game. He became a legend. Basketball got him in the doors of Nike and commercials, and he became a legend in that, traveling all over the world playing for special causes, never losing sight of what he represents and what he's about. So kids, take lessons in that. When you really love the game, it'll love you back. Remember what I said. If you have love for the game and you really love it, it'll love you back. And they give you gifts and rewards that's unmeasurable. It's priceless. So with saying that, I'm about to wrap it up because it's time to go. But those of you who've been with us for the ride, I appreciate you and thank you. And if you haven't done so, please subscribe to the YouTube channel. My name is Glenn Pooh Harding, and you've been watching Basketball Heads, the official home for New York City basketball. Peace.
Y'all ready? Y'all ready?